Welcome to Benji's Coaster Quest. Now today we're talking about our recent trip to Disney. We are more Universal fans than Disney fans, but we thought we'd give Disneyland Paris a go, and it was good. I wouldn't rush back. At Christmas time it was lovely, but Universal definitely beats Disney. I'm sorry to disappoint some fans, but that's what we think. So we drove from Durham down to Folkestone, but stopped in Northampton on the way as we have family to visit, and it's always nice to see a bit of family. The train to France was easy. The shuttle, you literally just drive on, 35 minutes later and you're in France. Now when we got to France, it's simply drive off the train, drive on the road and you're away. We went on a Sunday morning and it was completely dead, which was awesome. It was such an easy drive from the train down to Paris. We stopped at Vinny War Memorial, which is a Canadian war base from the Second World War. It was very moving. It was excellent to go and visit, and it was free. They were very good with Hugo. They let him run around the trenches and told him lots of facts that he could understand, which is brilliant. We did walk up to see the big memorial as well. It's ginormous, and it just cut that journey down and made it a more enjoyable journey. So we got back in the car, drove to the F1 hotel. Now, I booked this hotel for 35 quid. I thought that was a bargain, but 35 quid, it was awful. It was horrible. Little bunk beds, yeah, I get it, it's easy, but the blankets were thin. It was half a pillow, and the showers were disgusting. It was like a porta cabin shower. Now I know it's easy for some people, but it put us off going back there on our last night. So we got there early after staying at that hotel because we didn't want to be there anymore. We got to Disney about 7:30. Waited to go in the Buzz Lightyear lane because that's the one that Hugo picked, but we were meant to go to the far left window and get our disabled badge, and we weren't told about this. So for blue parking, if you go all the way to the left hand side, talk to the person in the window, they'll give you a little receipt, and then you can scan that on the way into the disabled car park. Now there's loads of spaces in the disabled car park, and it's right next to the travelator and toilets, which is really handy. They're very accessible, very easy. As soon as you get into Disney, I recommend having your tickets on your phone so you can scan straight through. It was easy. We went through security, went through the ticket booths, straight to town hall to pick up my access pass. Now I got my access pass because of my autism and my recent injuries for my legs. Now this pass puts Merlin to shame. It was so easy to acquire. All I had to do was use my Nimbus pass, just like in the UK, but they give you the sheet of paper and you just show it when you go onto a ride. I think we waited 15 minutes, the longest time, at the beginning of December where you thought it'd be really busy, and that was for Snow White. So on our first day we did the early access, and there wasn't as many rides open as I thought there was going to be. So we did Buzz, we did Big Thunder Mountain, and Hugo walked round the corner and went, wow, Big Thunder Mountain. So that was a proud dad moment there, because he's going to be a little roller coaster nerd like me. Well, I'm not exactly little, but you know what I'm saying. We're at Big Thunder Mountain. Haunted Mansion was shut, which I was really looking forward to going on because I've never been on it. But we come back and did that later in the day. Now we bought the photo pass thinking it was going to be brilliant. I don't recommend the photo pass. I recommend just buying a photo if it's decent, because most of the cameras were all blurry and it took about half an hour to even ask a member of staff for your photo. So it's just one of them things. Try it. If it don't, you don't have to get it again, do you? So we also had the food package. Now, I wouldn't do the food package again. I feel like you only get value if you do the buffet. That's it. The quick serve restaurants, you don't get a full choice on the menu of what you want. There's 2 items to pick from, and it's not great. I don't feel like we got value for money for that. We went to Plaza Gardens for our lunch. Nice buffet. Hugo loved having pudding for lunch, and I must have ate about 7 plates worth of food. Might as well get my €45 worth, and I'm a growing boy at the end of the day. We then did a couple more rides, and we checked into Davy Crockett's. Now, checking into Davy Crockett's was smooth. You drive up, show the security guard at the gate you're booking, you drive round to reception, and you pick up the keys. There's accessible ramps everywhere. There's even lower desks if you're in a wheelchair, and we fortunately went when it was quiet. So we got a disabled access cabin. I think it was great. The only downside is that I wish that the electric stayed on when you left the cabin. I understand why they don't do it, but when you're charging batteries for a mobility scooter or a wheelchair, it comes in handy, because you can leave your chair in the cabin for a few hours while you go down to the swimming pool or go to the restaurant, and it's charging, but unfortunately not. And the only charging points they've got if you want to charge a scooter is outside. So we went in winter. Obviously the cold doesn't like batteries, and it kills them off dead quick. So I did not want to leave my scooter battery outside in the cold when it's snowing. Simple as. So we made do. The accommodation's lovely. I couldn't fault it. It was clean, it was tidy, there was everything. I didn't like the breakfast at Davy Crockett's. I feel like €14 for a croissant and a bit of bread and some Nutella is overpriced. So that was part of the food plan, but as I said, we're not going to do that again if we go back. The second day, we went swimming in the morning. Hugo loved the swimming pool at Davy Crockett's, and because we went in the morning, we were the only people there for about an hour, and he must have gone on that slide about 20 times on his own, just kept going round, and he absolutely loved it. The lifeguards were cool. It was very accessible. I took my walking stick into the swimming pool itself and then left it at the side and used the steps to get down. I know there is a disabled lift to get you into the swimming pool if you need that, and all the staff are very accommodating. So after swimming, we went to the parks, got straight in. We went into Hollywood Studios, rode Tower of Terror. Hugo went on it the first time, and then he did not want to go on it again, but at least he was brave enough to do it the first time. Then we went Spider-Man. Now, that was a big thing for Hugo. Hugo loves Spider-Man web swingers. We must have done that about 10 times in our visit. He went crazy for it. He loved the cheeky Spidey, and he still talks about it now. So he loved it. We went round to Coaster's Crush. Now the access for Coaster's Crush isn't great. You got some stairs, and it's not very fitting, especially if you've got bad legs like me. But I managed to get in. It was quite uncomfortable. The staff didn't really understand that I needed a bit more space and ride on my own. So I was with a stranger because obviously someone needed to look after Hugo. And yeah, I wouldn't ride it again on my own. And then the other roller coaster, it was good. I had to sit at the front, which was a benefit because there was a bit more leg room. And the staff were really accommodating with that. But what I didn't like was that you went into the queue and then it went into the normal queue, and then they're telling you all to shuffle up and not leave any gaps. But when you need that gap, when you're on crutches and stuff, people were just pushing in front of me, and it took double the length of time to get anywhere, which I understand, that's what they've got to do, but it put me off going on it again. There wasn't much open at Hollywood Studios. I think the car rides were definitely disappointing. Remy's was good. We enjoyed Remy's. We went on that a couple of times. And Hugo loves Slinky Dog, just going around in a circle. But I think the ride times are a bit short for stuff like that. It was a couple of times round and then it stopped. But then I guess it's times for kids, isn't it? It's not an adult's ride, and that's all they need. So we went to the Marvel restaurant for dinner that night. I can't fault the Marvel restaurant. I think the Marvel restaurant was the best food we had all week. The food was great. The staff were great. It was very busy. I didn't like how loud it was. I should have took my loops to quieten the noise down, but I forgot them. But yeah, if you can eat at the Marvel restaurant, I totally recommend that. It was incredible. And the security let us park in the Marvel car park because of our disabilities. We just showed them our table booking and the blue badge, and they let us in with no fuss. So that was great, and it was literally just round the corner from the normal car park from the disabled anyway. So it's just one of them. Then the Wednesday, we spent the full day in the park. Went to watch the fireworks, because the Tuesday it was dead foggy and they cancelled the fireworks. They tried the drone show, and you could barely see it. So yeah, the Wednesday we watched the full show, watched the fireworks, and Hugo fell asleep. He was adamant he wanted to stay up, but fortunately we went out and bought him a cheap buggy, just because we knew that he wouldn't be able to cope with the days. So he fell asleep, woke up for a bit, and then went back to sleep again. He did enjoy it. The wife enjoyed it, but she got cold, and it was a lot of walking, especially from there. And I love the fact that there's the disabled viewing for the fireworks, but then when you leave, there's thousands of people. So we stayed behind about 15 minutes to let everyone filter through, and that worked all right for us, to be fair. Now, on the last day when we went, it was raining, and I mean raining. It was horrible. So we were all in a bad mood because of that. It was cold, and we just wanted to go home. Now, that F1 hotel put us off going back, because we were meant to stay there on the Thursday night and then get the train back on the Friday. Instead, we rung the tunnel up and asked if we could transfer our ticket and come home that day. So the lady on the phone was really good. She said different prices for different times, but obviously we couldn't get there for the next train, which would have been £8. And then the next couple of trains were like 56 quid, and then it was £18 for the next one. So we went for the £18 one, which we didn't mind, but you can check in a maximum of 2 hours early, and they let us go on an hour early train for the same price, which would have been like the 56 quid or something. So that was really good. We got home, and it was a 6-hour drive from Folkestone to Durham. I ended up pulling over in Cambridge and asking the wife to drive back the rest of the way. It was very tiring. The traffic in France was bad before the tunnel as well, and the shopping centre was great, but the restaurants in there were expensive, so we ended up going to Mackey's in England before driving home. But that was our trip. It was very easy, very accessible. We'd do it again, but I think we wouldn't do 4 days back at Disney. It's not a 4-day park. We want to do Park Asterix. We want to do Plopsaland as well. So they're all kind of on the way, and we'd merged them in to do them parks together. And then I think just doing Disney for special occasions, or if Hugo wants to go back. but definitely it's not a 4-day park. We did enjoy ourselves. We're glad we went because it was an experience, but we're not going to rush back. But yeah, thank you for listening and have a great day and keep on them adventures.